Hi there, everyone. I'm Stephen Cruiser, and this is PJTV. Joining me today is veteran Republican campaign ad maker and the co-founder of On Message Incorporated, Brad Todd. Brad, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Steve. Good morning. Good afternoon, I guess it is.
It's kind of, it's so dark here today, it's hard to tell. I'm gonna ask the question that first popped into my head, and I get asked a lot, actually, over it. Do people still pay attention to television political ads?
Well, they do. They pay attention to advertising, period. Question, it doesn't matter what platform it is, whether it's a digital ad, a television ad, an ad before a movie, in a movie theater. I mean, compelling advertising works. It works when it looks like programming. It doesn't work when it doesn't look like programming, which by that I mean something people would choose to watch.
Well, as we've seen in the past, I think the model was just throw a lot of money at advertising and hope it would move the needle. And one of the things the Republicans haven't been very good at over the years is paying attention to quality advertising. We saw with, what a lot of the Rove ads, in the 2012 election cycle really didn't move anything. And a lot of what you're doing seemed to be deliberate departures from the Rove era, big, heavy, statistics-laden, scary, scary, scary voice kind of ads. Was that a conscious decision on your part, or was it just something you preferred doing on your own?
Well, I think that political advertising has been an ailing genre for quite a while, and I think that the viewer has a lot more choices in life today. If you go back to the 1970s or 1980s, even then, you had three big networks, and that's it. And that's what you had to choose for your entertainment. And the viewer was stuck. They had to pick between the least of one of the three options that appealed to them, the least worst. And today, that's not the case. I mean, not just the number of channels available to them on television, but they've got a tablet device in their lap. They've got their smartphone sitting by their side. They've got a laptop across the room. There are a lot of options, maybe an e-reader nearby. A lot of things that demand and sort of offer the viewer a chance to engage. And so there's a burden on all advertisers, not just political advertisers, but all advertisers to create content that the viewer would choose to watch because they do have to choose to watch it. There's always a competing stimulus. And I think political advertising in general kind of got sick, as a genre for a while, and it didn't keep up. And so I think that we're trying to move it up to a different level and trying to do stuff that the viewer would want to watch, and that is a conscious decision on our part.
Well, with that in mind, let's take a look at one of your ads from this last campaign cycle for Cory Gardner in Colorado.
Welcome to Yuma, Colorado, 2 hours from the big city.
And a long way from anywhere else.
In a place like this, you learn to get along.
That's how we do it here, Dad.
It's too bad Washington doesn't work that way. I'm Cory Gardner. I'll be a senator who solves problems instead of making them worse, borrowing money and piling up debt. It's time the Senate had a new generation, one that's accountable to the next generation.
That would be me.
I'm Cory Gardner, and I approve this message. Let's shake up the Senate.
Okay, I've got one quick personal question here now, and I'm thinking back to some ads of the past, but political ads with family members can always be rather hit or miss. So when you're going to do one, do you audition the family member first to see if he or she is good on camera, or do you just decide you're going to do a family ad regardless?
I think you have to write the concept around what the personalities of the people involved. One of our core beliefs is that advertising has to be true to the candidate, has to be something that emanates from the candidate. Voters can spot a fake from a mile away. They're very discerning customers. And so we have to try to come up with advertising concepts and copy that both are suitable to the candidate and sort of natural for the candidate. And nobody in political advertising is a professional actor, save Fred Thompson, perhaps. And so you're dealing with people who the only way they can act well is to act like themselves. And so we have to try to make advertising that matches who they are.
I want to take that a step further. Like Cory Gardner is very camera friendly. He's good on camera. Even some candidates, though, even though they're acting like themselves, they're still not that good on camera. How do you work around a candidate for an advertising campaign like that who may not be as relaxed or as comfortable on camera?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is you have to listen to them a lot before you write the first word of copy. One of the things I like to do is I like to go follow the candidate around on the road, watch them speak, watch them interact with voters in a casual environment, I like to talk to people that they're friends with the candidate who are outside of politics. And so that you gather a feeling for the kinds of things the person would say naturally, and you gather sort of their own syntax. And then when you write copy that is like the way they talk normally, and maybe even has some phrases that they already use, then and sort of the points they already want to make, then it comes across a lot more naturally.
So you work with them to make it organic. It shouldn't be a novel approach, but that is a novel approach. It's well done on that.
Well, and our candidates end up writing a lot of the copy too. By the way, it's a very collaborative process, and it needs to be that way to be natural.
Now, a lot of times in political advertising, once a candidate gets an influx of money from the party, whether it be from the RNC, the NRSC, or the NRCC, then the party wants to start controlling the advertising, too. They want to control the creative input. They want to control things like that. Did you have complete freedom when you were working with these candidates who were still getting party money, or is there still this element of centralized control that they're trying to exercise over the process?
Well, Republicans don't herd very well. And I think you see a lot less centralized control on the Republican side than you do on the Democrat side. If you notice on the Democrat side, the Democratic Senatorial Committee is controlled by people who are very close to Harry Reid. And the main Democrat super PAC is the Senate Majority PAC, which is controlled by, shockingly, people who are very close to Harry Reid. And so they tend to run a lot more centralized operation than we do on our side. And I think that the best way to continue to succeed is to have a plan from the very beginning. Make sure that what you're doing is not accidental or off the seat of your pants, and have a well thought out plan and everybody can buy into from a strategic standpoint, and then make the advertising natural to the candidate.
Now, obviously, there's the shift in media is to digital for the future. And away from maybe the network television model. Right now, when you're conceiving an ad, do you think of it in terms of how it's going to look on a television? Do you think of it how it's going to look in terms of how it's going to look on a computer screen? Do you do separate ads for those kinds of things? What is the first part of your approach to that?
There are times we do separate ads, but I'm proudly platform agnostic. I am just a user like everybody else, and I use many devices to consume my information and my entertainment, and that's the way voters approach it. And so we need to create compelling content that viewers can view on any device, and then there will be times when we have content that is suited only to one type of device. I mean, this year, for example, in the Arkansas Senate race, one of the things we did was we made a mini movie. The campaign had gone on for a full year. Voters were tired of seeing campaign ads, 30-second ads. People had been on the air for 12 months nonstop. And so in the last 2 weeks, we created a 14-minute program that we ran on television. We also had a shorter version of that was perfect for digital devices. And we had a 2-minute version of that movie that we ran in movie theaters. And so, yes, we do create content that is for one specific platform only. But we also try to make sure the bulk of our content is suited for all of them. And I think that's one reason you see a lot more candidate to camera in our work. I think that the digital consumer is a little bit more fickle and quicker to click off the content than a viewer will be in a television environment. So a one-on-one conversation with the candidate will engage the viewer for a much longer period of time in the digital content digital environment, than, say, an announcer-driven spot.
Do you think there's been enough of a shift to digital so far now that, let's say, a candidate doesn't have the money early on to do a lot of big television ad buys or radio ad buys? Do you think that they can make real traction with just digital advertising right now? Or has it not shifted enough yet to digital?
It hasn't a primary in a lot of environments. And, of course, a lot of that's going to depend on what the barrier to entry is for television advertising. For instance, if you're running in the Chicago media market, the television advertising cost is going to be cost prohibitive for anything. Even a statewide campaign struggles to afford Chicago television, and so you probably would start out with digital only. But if you're in Little Rock, Arkansas, for instance, the barrier to entry on television is not that great, and so you start out with a blended campaign. And so the numbers on digital are rapidly increasing. But they are still lower than the numbers available to you on a blended campaign that includes digital and television.
what you were talking about earlier, being a little more organic, making a better quality ad, that can have a huge impact for people who can only afford digital in the beginning. Don't you think? If you get something clever, I know a lot of people like to think, I'm going to make something viral today, not understanding that you can't make something viral. It's a happenstance thing. But if the content is king on that, don't you think that gives it a little bit of an edge for getting out there, with social media?
Question. No question. You hope all your content goes viral. We never set out and try to say, I want to make this one thing go viral. I want it all to go viral. We talk in terms of that voters have, we consume a variety of different kind of media, paid media that we obviously pay for, earned media through the press channels, and then shared media that voters voluntarily give their friends. And we want to ring the bell on all three. And make sure that we are putting advertisements in front of the voter that she or he want to share with their friends and sort of expand our echo.
Where can our viewers find out more about, and maybe potential candidates for the next election cycle, find out more about you online?
Sure. OnMessageInc.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at BradOnMessage. And our OnMessageInc.com with more ads on that website than you could possibly consume in a short sitting.
Brad Todd from OnMessage Inc., thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
For PJTV, I'm Stephen Cruiser, and once again, I'd like to thank all of you for watching.